Hi guys, it's Erin popping in with an answer to Lauren's question. She wants to know what to do if her 3-year-old won't sit still for junk drawer math. Now, for those of you who've been members for a while, you'll remember that lesson from, I think, week 32 in like early August. It's one of my favorites. So Lauren wrote in her email, let's see, my 3-year-old son's twin sister loved the lesson and was really into it, but he just wanted to flip rubber bands all over the kitchen and didn't end up counting anything at all. I don't want to force learning because I know he's still young, but shouldn't I factor in obedience? Like, where do I draw the line between force and follow through, especially if it's distracting to another kid? Since I said we were going to do a lesson, shouldn't we do the lesson? Oh my gosh, that's really, really good. So Lauren, I love this question. And I love that you asked, because I think we all kind of do struggle with this in different ways on some levels. And I totally get why this is such an issue for us. On one hand, it's a matter of principle, right? Our kids need to learn to listen and to follow directions. And on the other hand, they're young and curious, and we know that, and we want to foster that open-ended play. So how do we do both? Here's what I like to say to my kids. You always get a voice. You don't always get a vote. So let's unpack that with your example. Your 3-year-old son is telling you that he just doesn't want to count today, but that he would rather explore with the rubber bands. That's his voice. Totally okay. He can absolutely head in a different direction with the rubber bands, and that's okay. Remember, he is always learning something, even if it's not the thing that we had intended ourselves, okay? Now, let's say he wants to make sure that no one counts anything and that everyone follows his plan for learning, okay? So he might tell his sister to stop counting the rubber bands because he needs them for his project, okay? And that's different because that's his vote. And that's not something that in my house I would necessarily bend to. So in that situation, you could say a number of things like, you may go play with the rubber bands in the living room while I count with your sister. Or after I finish counting with your sister, I would love to see what you're working on. So this way, your son is getting autonomy. He's getting control over his learning experience without lording that control over anyone else's. Okay, so he gets a voice, not a vote. He doesn't get to decide whether or not anyone else abandons their project just for the sake of his. And that is, I don't know, it's a really important distinction. Voice, not vote, is just a really simple way to walk that fine line between letting your kids call the shots and letting your kid have a say, okay? I found it just to be a really powerful reminder in our own home. We use it pretty often. I will say though, one last thing. I want you to try and think of these lessons as suggestions, not assignments. Because I think it's really easy to make learning a matter of obedience, right? Like, this is how traditional school works. I give you an assignment and you complete it. Kind of like what you said. Like, if we say we're going to do a lesson, then we need to do a lesson, right? And there's totally room for that. But I also want to offer this. That by definition, obedience is to comply with an order of law and to submit to another's authority. So certainly it's necessary when the stakes are high, right? Like if a child is running into the street, or if you need them to stay close in like a parking lot, obedience is absolutely required. But I think when we apply that same mindset to learning, we're kind of telling our kids that their education lies in the hands of something outside of themselves, right? In a law or an authority figure. And that's just not always true, okay? We want to teach our kids that they do have power over their own education, right? And that any limitations on what to learn or how to learn live inside of them. And while our job is to guide them until they're capable of guiding themselves, we can start encouraging that now by kind of, releasing our grip a little bit and reserving obedience for other areas of life. So I don't think that means that we ditch the lessons and our kids just get to do whatever heck they want to do. But I do think it means continuing to create these natural learning opportunities over and over again, and making these suggestions, and then offering our kids a voice, but not a vote. I hope that's helpful for you, Lauren. That was just a really good question. Thank you so much for emailing with your thoughts. And remember, I am always happy to offer suggestions or to brainstorm solutions at any time. Just email hello@othergoose.com, and I'm always checking that space. I'll see you guys soon.